Okay, I think we're ready to start. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending where you're joining us from all around the world. I'm Kana Halic-Kovacic, and I'm Vice President for the External Affairs at the International Federation of Medical Student Associations. And I'm honored to welcome you online here today on behalf of the UHC 2030, then the Civil Society Engagement Mechanism, and all the co-hosts of this event, including FMSA, then the International Alliance of Patient Organizations, the International Pharmaceutical Students Federation, and also the International Council of Nurses and Alliance of Student and Early Career Nurses. We are really grateful to have you here today for this 2025 UHC Day Youth Workshop, which is aimed to be a session to support youth through advocacy capacity building. So whether or not you have a previous experience in health or UHC advocacy, you are in the right place. But before we proceed with the workshop, we also want to know a bit more about you, a bit more about our audience. So I will kindly ask you to introduce yourself in the chat. Feel free to share your background and country that you are joining us from, maybe even the institution. I see we have some participants from Zambia, from Egypt, from Saudi Arabia, Malawi, India. That is very, very, very nice. I have to say it's very inspiring to see so many of you joining us from all across the world, where we are all united to advocate for the universal health coverage. So while the introductions are happening in the chat, I'm just going to provide you with some general information. So this webinar is, as you can see, being recorded. So after this session, feel free to refer to UHC 2030 campaign website, where you will be able to find the recording. And furthermore, maybe even share it with your colleagues that were not able to join us today. Also, something that we would like to highlight is that we are also offering the interpretation in Spanish and as well as closed captioning access. So we ask all the participants to select the language of their choice by clicking to the little icon of the globe that they can find below. Something that I would like to highlight is that today we are here for you. So we are here for the youth advocates to help you get ready to take an active role in UHC Day campaign that's already happening, but also to stay engaged beyond that when it comes to broader advocacy efforts in context of universal health coverage. In the end, it's important to highlight that all the decisions that are made today will in the end shape the health systems that young people will inherit tomorrow. So that's why it's very important to have inclusion of youth participation and leadership more than ever to achieve the universal health coverage goals. So our 2025 Youth Focus initiatives are part of this growing UHC Day youth movement, which is a collective effort to amplify young voices in the push for equitable and accessible health for all. So this workshop is just one of the examples of the events that we will be hosting, and it's also more than just an event. It's part of a bigger ecosystem where we are trying to provide youth advocates with opportunities to learn, lead, and also to connect with each other. Something that we are very, very excited about, and it's a very big news that we'll be sharing today, is also the launch of the Youth Challenge. So as part of the 2025 UHC Day campaign, we are launching the official Youth Challenge. So we are challenging you and all the youth to get involved and also to help us drive the change in their respective countries and their communities. So young people who participate in the challenge will have the opportunity to win the UHC Day prize, and they also have opportunity to be featured as our UHC champions. So probably you're asking yourself, how can I participate? So to participate, you have to lock your engagement with the UHC 2025 toolkit and join, complete all the steps of the youth challenge. More information about the challenge is available on the platform and on our website. I think the link will be shared in the chat. So we're encouraging you to complete as many steps as you can, because the more steps that you take, higher your chances are of winning the prize. And also, if you complete all the steps, then you will be featured as UHC champion. We also have some really good news for you today, and that is that this activity, so this workshop, also marks as one of the steps in the Youth Challenge. So congratulations, you have already started your journey. As I have already mentioned, so more information and details about the actions and also updates are available on the official webpage. So before we officially begin, I also want to take a moment to reflect on the importance of civil society and community engagement, especially the role that young people help when it comes to shaping the health policies. So when we're talking about civil society is the bridge between the communities and also decision makers. So civil society ensures that policies in the end reflect people's real needs and also experiences. And we as young people are also at heart of that effort. So when young people organize and speak up, they can also bring new ideas, energy, and accountability into policy spaces. So with that, strong and strategic advocacy can push health issues higher on the political agenda and also influence national commitments and in the end turn promises into actions. So that's why youth engagement is more than just a participation. It's also a powerful way of policy influence in motion. So with that in mind, let's take a look at today's agenda and what we'll be working on together. So we started with a round of introductions and a bit of icebreakers. Then we will move into our opening remarks to set the tone for the workshop. Next, we'll have a presentation of the 2025 UHC Day campaign and advocacy templates, where you will be able to learn a bit more about this year's theme and how you can take part in it. After that, we'll also jump into our interactive segment, so advocate to influence, making your case with facts and feelings, where you will be able to explore how to craft the impactful messages. Then we'll open the floor for a Q&A session, so you can also share your thoughts and ask questions. And finally, we will wrap up this panel with closing remarks and also call to action, including how you can stay engaged in this campaign and youth challenge. But before we do that, let's also take a moment to reflect on some information when it comes to global context of the universal health coverage and the story behind the Universal Health Coverage Day. So according to World Health Organization, when we talk about universal health coverage, as you can see here in the slide, it also means that people have access to full range of quality health services when they need, where they need it, and also without financial hardship. In the other words, if we are talking about universal health coverage, it's also about ensuring that everyone and also everywhere can receive essential health services throughout their lives, from health promotion and prevention to treatment, rehabilitation, or even palliative care. So now, what is actually Universal Health Coverage Day? Every year on December 12th, Universal Healthcare Coverage Day is the global point for the movement towards the health for all. So it actually marks the anniversary of the United Nations historic endorsement of the universal health coverage back in 2012. And now for some context, how is this day connected to this campaign? So despite the progress that we have, still like more than half of the world's population lacks access when it comes to essential health services. And also 1 in 4 people face financial hardship when it comes to paying for healthcare, often sacrificing necessities like food, education, or even housing. So building on the momentum of the last year's successful campaign, which emphasized the financial protection as government responsibility, this year's theme highlights the devastating human impact of unaffordable health costs. It calls on decision makers to prioritize high-impact investments that strengthen community resilience and also drive economic prosperity. The slogan for this year is also unaffordable health costs. We are sick of it. So this campaign focuses on the lived experiences behind the numbers that I just introduced you to, reminding governments that unaffordable health costs make our communities poorer, sicker, and also hold us back from achieving the Sustainable Development Goals. So now with that message, let's play the campaign video. Thank you so much, Laura, for playing the video. So now reflecting on that, we're also going to proceed with a quick icebreaker to make this more interactive. So I will kindly ask you to join the Menti. We'll be also adding the link to the chat, or you can go to www.menti.com and enter the code. And there we prepared one question for you. And it is, what's one thing that you're sick when it comes to health access, equity, or financing? So we have people from all over the world joining us here today with different backgrounds, different lived experiences, different stories. So I'm very, very curious what are going to be some of your thoughts on that. Also, if you have any issues joining the Menti, feel free to let us know, and we'll also be more than happy to assist. Okay, I think we can proceed with the next slide. Or maybe Menti decided to challenge us today instead of the youth challenge. Okay, I think it's working now. So you can send us your answers. Okay, so we have affordability, accessibility, gender imbalance, high expenses, out-of-pocket expenses, insufficient medication, long lines, cost uncertainty, financing, the delay in response, stigma and discrimination, healthcare differences, lack of empathy, overpriced commodities, it's changing pretty quickly, discrimination, fragmented healthcare systems, too remote for rural areas. I also see some of the answers here in the chat. And all of these gaps or challenges are actually the realities of millions, and also some of the topics that we are targeting as part of this campaign. And we also hope that through this workshop, we'll also empower you to help you address this within your respective communities. So with that being said, without further ado, I'm also very honored to welcome our keynote speaker, who is Her Excellence, Ms. Celine Jurgensen, Ambassador and also Permanent Representative of France to the United Nations Office at Geneva and to the international organizations in Switzerland, to deliver the keynote remarks and officially set the tone for today's workshop. Her Excellence, Ms. Celine Jurgensen, brings extensive and multilateral experience in humanitarian affairs, as well development, security, and international law, representing France's leadership and commitment on the global stage.
Merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. It's really exciting to be with you today in a very important moment of global health and global affairs, and very important moment for multilateralism. By the way, I wish I would have such a workshop when I was young. I think it's very useful to have this workshop on how advocacy can truly be powerful, especially for leaders. So thank you to our moderator. As she indicated, I'm a career diplomat with 22 years of experience in, well, mainly diplomacy, but also on a lot of issues, lately health, because I just arrived in Geneva last May. And of course, I had also plenty of opportunities to work with young people. So let me offer, I wouldn't say a keynote, it's a bit grandiose, but let's say personal and very personal remarks. So first, I would say for you as a young advocate, I would say be true. Be true to yourself. Don't refrain yourself in your ambition, in your objectives. Don't be afraid to be committed, to be passionate. Rationality does not prevent commitment nor passion, including, by the way, for a public servant. Many times I've worked with very dedicated and inspired young advocates, and this is how you bring inspiration and how you convince people. But advocacy does not mean being blind to others' opinion. And so accept that you can be wrong, accept the debate, accept to be challenged. With the growing polarization that we see in all multilateral arena, but also in our public debates, in our countries, I think this is very important to remind that we have and we can be challenged. Second, reality matters. You have to defend your cause with your personal opinion, with your passion, but I would say, please don't forget to base it each time on evidence, on facts, on truth. Don't be dishonest about facts, because in a world where reality is under attack, science is under attack, we have a profound responsibility to defend reality. Science, climate change are not ideology. They are science, they are facts. So be rigorous about what you say, bring evidence-based arguments, again, as much as possible with an interdisciplinary approach, because this is how you can make your case strong. This is how you can convince your interlocutors, especially leaders. So you have to be, I would say, idealistic, but not to the detriment of pragmatism, not to the detriment of reality. And I would even say realities in plural, political realities, economic realities, budgetary realities, industrial realities, power competition, bureaucratic realities. These are the realities that decision makers have in mind, and they have to navigate through them. So this is very important to understand those realities. They will not disappear. But idealism needs also to be turned into action. So focus on message, focus on ideals, but most importantly, focus on implementation, on impact, on action on the ground to change lives of people. So what matters is really that, and we see that especially with the attack on the UN, on multilateralism, it is really key now to demonstrate the impact that the UN have and will continue to have for people on the ground. Look at partners, look for partners, because you will be more powerful, of course, with allies, with partners, and there is no global or North or global South. On each issue, and this is our job as diplomats, on each issue, I can assure you that we find partners, we find allies on each and every regional group. So this is very important. Defend the values of cooperation, of solidarity. We need them, and they are truly embodied in what is the United Nations, which is 80 this year, and not only about transactional approach. This is really key in my view. Fourth, be innovative. Lead transformation with yourself and including in your own organization. But this is not so easy. Innovation is a combination of research, imagination, creativity, impact, but also courage and energy. Courage and energy to change the statu quo, because statu quo is always more easy. courage and energy to overcome bureaucracy, to overcome the difficulties, in particular in big organizations. And it requires freedom, because innovation and creativity cannot develop without freedom, freedom of thought, freedom of research, freedom of speech. And of course, innovation has to serve an end, a goal. And for us in the UN community, this is the Sustainable Development Goals. This is what we have in mind. Last point, a few words, of course, on health, because this is the main issue of this workshop, and this is also the issue of the campaign. It's been almost 150 years since the first national social health insurance scheme for workers was introduced here in Europe, and over 70 years since universal health coverage was adopted by many countries as the best approach to ensuring health equity. This is, of course, critical for the health of our citizens, but also for trust in our institutions, which is a fundamental responsibility of governments. Health is a human right, but in a changing world, it's also central to countries' prosperity, sustainable development, and economic growth. And with the challenge of this 21st century that you know, and every country is facing, demographic shift, climate change, inequalities, reduced fiscal space, we cannot take consensus on universal health coverage as a given, for granted. So we cannot be complacent. We must rise to the challenge and make the case again. And this is where the voice of youth, your voice, the power of your advocacy is so important. You can use your voice to make the case for the issues and the solutions that you believe are important and will define this century with passion and with responsibility. Make the case for solidarity, for equity, for fundamental rights. Again, these are not ideology, these are rights, for health for all and a more just world. So do not estimate the power and the agency of your voice, because your governments, your leaders, they will and they are and they will listen to your voice, maybe more powerfully than you imagine. So with that influence and agency comes also responsibility to use that voice for a better world and for those who do not have a voice or are not here at the table. And also, do not lose your optimism and hope. This is a very gloomy world. We all know that, but we need to be idealistic and to conduct change with optimism and hope. So again, thank you so much for this opportunity. We are really at a very important point, in a way, an inflection point for the UN, for multilateralism, for global health, and your voice, your ideas are very important. You can make the world better. Ask what if and not what is the reality, and make your inspirational ideas happen on the ground, have impact. I'm sure that the world cannot be in better hands. So merci beaucoup. Thank you so much. And I wish you a very fruitful debate. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for these opening remarks. This was very, very empowering and very powerful speech. And I believe all the points that you mentioned will be very helpful to our young advocates when it comes to preparing their testimonials in this workshop. But what's even more important, to continue this momentum outside of this space, so to bring changes to their communities, to their countries, either by influencing policies or contributing to various projects, initiatives, or capacitating other young people. So once again, thank you so much for joining us today. It was really a pleasure and honor to have you here. So now let's move into a presentation to explore the 2025 UHC Day campaign and the advocacy tools available for you to take the action. So please welcome Bethany Kate Lewis from the UHC 2030 Secretariat, the global multi-stakeholder platform for universal health coverage. Bethany Kate works in global advocacy and partnerships to advance universal health coverage, health equity, and the right to health through stronger, more inclusive, and health systems. So Bethany Kate, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It is lovely to see so many youth on this webinar. The numbers keep going up and up, and I can't say how lucky we are to be able to be working with you all. So every year, as you've heard, on December 12th, we come together to raise awareness of the urgent need for universal health coverage and remind the world that health is a right, not a privilege. This year's campaign carries a tone of urgency and impatience. We are sending a clear message to decision makers that we are fed up with the current state of things. Because when people have to miss out on or delay care due to cost, they don't only just face inconvenience, but they risk getting sicker, developing long-term illness, or even losing their lives. When you speak up to decision makers, you're showing governments that social participation in health decision making isn't optional, it's essential. This year's UHC Day campaign toolkit has been designed to help you do exactly that. Share your voice, your stories, and the stories of your communities to highlight the lived experiences and human lives behind the UHC data. Because we all know there's a better story we could be telling. When leaders choose to prioritize people's health, they lay the groundwork for sustainable progress, not just in health, but across every sector of society. The UHC Day Toolkit is designed to guide you through 5 practical steps to help you share your lived experiences and take meaningful action for UHC. These same 5 steps are reflected in the UHC Day Youth Challenge, which we've launched today, and we'll take you through each phase of the toolkit's interactive activities and allows you to record your progress. So we're going to go through the stages now. So step 1 is the spread the word. So in this step, this is about sharing the UHC Day messages and visuals to challenge the status quo and emphasize that it's not normal for anyone to miss out on or delay healthcare because of cost. We'll now move to step 2. So in this step, tell your story. You will be using your own experiences or those of your community to show how health costs impact people's lives through our ongoing Health Costs Hurts campaign. And we'll speak more about that a bit later. In step 3, this is where we call for change. So we can use the UHC Day advocacy templates to write to or speak with decision makers and the media to demand action and accountability. Step 4, this is our join forces. So in this step, we encourage you to connect with others, your peers, community members, and the UHC Day advocates around the world. Collaboration strengthens our message. You can share your UHC Day plans and also subscribe to the UHC Day Substack for ideas and updates on how you can localize your campaign and raise your voices through social participation. And finally, we have step 5. This is about sharing the movement. This helps us show how we are a unified global movement by using the official 2025 UHC Day branding and visuals in your context and activities. Now that we've explored the 5 steps of the UHC Day Toolkit, let's look closely at how combining facts and feelings creates compelling and powerful advocacy. So to start off, I think what we'll do is we'll show a short video that demonstrates the power of storytelling in advocacy for UHC. Just give us a moment as we share the video.
a restaurant, hadn't gone to the doctor in a few years. I didn't have health insurance. And I was working in a restaurant, and I hadn't seen a doctor in so long that I was starting to get anxious. You know, when you just like haven't gone to a dentist, we haven't gone to a doctor in a while, and just every bump or every time your ankle feels weird, it creates so much anxiety, just the not knowing. And so I saved up a lot of money so that I could, a lot of money for me, for most people, so that I could go to the doctor. And since I worked off of tips, I literally showed up to the doctor with a purse full of cash. And I showed up and I had my appointment. And my doctor said, well, everything seems all right, but I think we're gonna need you to take a blood test, just to make sure. And I sat in the room with my doctor, and I just started to weep because I couldn't afford a blood test. And I had just shown up to the doctor with a bag full of cash to be told that I needed something that I couldn't afford so that I could know if there was something wrong with me or not. And if, God forbid, there was something wrong, I wouldn't know because I couldn't afford to know. I couldn't afford to know if I could do something to take preventative action to preserve my health. And so I sat there and I just wept. And my doctor just gave me a tissue, said, I don't know what to tell you. She said, but this is the blood test that you need, and come back to me if you can get it. And so this was not long ago. And she said, by the way, what do you do? And I said, I'm running for Congress.
So I think that's a great example, and this video really demonstrates how storytelling can really bring policies to life, and how highlighting the real experiences with people behind the numbers, especially those most affected by inequities and gaps in universal health coverage, can really show what the realities are on the ground and what decision makers are actually deciding on, which is people's lives. So the UHC Day advocacy templates are designed really to help you capture and share your own personal stories in formats that make decision makers stop, listen, and act. We have 3 main templates available this year. So the first is the letter writing template to write clear, persuasive letters to government decision makers. Our second is the statement writing template for speaking up in meetings, forums, consultations, and hearings with policymakers and decision makers. And the final is a media release template, and that's to help you engage journalists and raise awareness through the press. Alongside these templates, we have also built a suite of advocacy capacity building resources, which are available to help you strategically target, craft, and deliver your advocacy messages for maximum impact. As we focused on the letter writing last year, in last year's campaign, and the recording for last year's session is available on our advocacy capacity building resources page on the CSEN website. This year, this workshop, we'll be focusing on the statement template. So we'll just open the statement template so we can show you what it looks like. So here's our statement template. So when preparing a statement, it is really important to determine who you wish to reach. So which decision makers? The best place to share your message, this is the forum, and when the message should go out, this is the moment. And this altogether will help you achieve the greatest impact with your statements. So once you have selected who, when, and where to target your statement, make sure you start writing your statement by addressing the room. So you want to introduce who you represent. This is the network or organization or community you are delivering and the statement that you are delivering on behalf of. You can also acknowledge alignment on what is being discussed or express serious concerns about unaffordable health costs to really help frame your message. Remember, your opening sets the tone, but your time is limited. So we want you to keep it concise and save time for your story and evidence and call to action, which will come in the main body of your statement, which we'll now talk about now. So in the main body of your statement, here you will use the section to describe what is happening and why does it matter. Your focus will be on highlighting the problem by sharing a personal story or testimonial to help you describe the challenge and illustrate the impact on real people. If you can find a way to connect your story with an issue you know that your targeted decision maker is already passionate about, you can even have more impact. Researching your decision maker's background and priorities really can be an effective way to even further target your advocacy. Make sure you remember to connect your story to the broader issue or problem by using evidence and data to show that your experience isn't an isolated case. By providing evidence and data, you are bridging your story and the people who can make change. That is, carrying your personal experiences across the world to policy and action. Stories make the impact, but data facilitates the action. To finish off this section, you'll need to explain why this matters now. We want to highlight the urgency so decision makers know why they need to act right now. Next, we will move to the call to action part of the statement. Here, you should highlight your asks. Be clear and specific about what you want decision makers to do by making clear recommendations or actual asks. Here, you can insert the UHC Day calls to action, and you can also customize your statement for your country context by adapting the UHC Day messages to your specific country and country needs. It's really important to limit yourself to 1 to 2 clear asks here to keep your message focused and memorable. And now we need to close the statement. So finally, you need to reaffirm commitment to partnership by showing you are inspired to act and support collaboration. And then we need to end this all off with a call to unite. Bring it home with a unifying message, which reminds decision makers why their actions matter. A good tip, put the least important information last. That way, if you do get cut off by time limits, your key message will already have been delivered. And finally, don't forget to thank the room so you can let people know that you've finished speaking. So now that you've written your statement and you've delivered your statement to the audience, are you done? Well, statements have a lasting impact when you let others know who may not have been in the room that you've delivered this statement and what is in the statement. So to make your statement extra visible, you can amplify it on social media and tag your decision makers. Following up after delivering the statement is also key to ensuring your message leads to action. A well-timed statement should be part of an ongoing advocacy effort, not just a one-time event. You can use our letter writing templates or media release templates to continue your follow-up efforts, or you can think about sharing your story online through our Health Costs Hurts campaign. So our Health Costs Hurts campaign is about showing this real-life experiences and stories of people that have been affected by health costs by posting a video of your story on social media using the Health Costs Hurts hashtag, and also tagging UHC 2030 and CSAM for UHC 2030. Videos are welcome from anyone around the world, whether on behalf of your organization or an individual. Remember, every voice matters here. By adding yours, you'll be able to help us build momentum and ensure that stories are amplified at key global advocacy moments, reminding leaders everywhere that health is not a privilege, it's a right. So the aim is by the end of today's session, you are going to be completing an interactive exercise on how to write your lived experience stories so that By the time we all leave here today, everyone will have a fully developed story ready to insert in any one of the advocacy templates that we have shown you, or use as a health cost per video script. We're very excited to hear your stories and see how you construct your stories. And we encourage you to share with the stories with us, and also to participate in the Health Cost First video campaign. I'll now hand back over to Kenna so we can start to go through the exercise. Thank you.
Oh, I realized that I was muted. So thank you so much, Bethany Kate, for sharing all of the examples here with us. And as you have been presenting, we also had Paloma, who shared all the links to these resources in the chat for our participants to engage. So without further ado, I would also like to introduce Laura Philidor, Advocacy and Communication Advisor for the Civil Society Engagement Mechanism for UHC 2020-30. Laura drives global advocacy and communications to advance inclusive and equitable UHC, amplifying civil society voices and ensuring no one is left behind in the journey towards health for all. And with that, we'll actually move into our main segment, which is the Advocate to Influence workshop. So Laura, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Kenna, and Vike for the presentation. Again, we're thrilled to have so many of you on the call today from around the world. Thank you for joining, and a huge thanks also to Ambassador Jorgensen for the great presentation and motivation words also at the start. We are arriving to the exciting part also of this webinar, which is the interactive one, and we want to work with you here to develop compelling personal stories that you will be able to support with data to use for your advocacy communication. So to use in your health cost heard videos, or to use in your statements, in your letter, or other communication to decision makers. So before we start, I just want to emphasize also what the ambassador rightly said before, but we that it's important to dare, and even if it's not perfect, it's never perfect anyway, just to dare and share your statements. We're here to support each other, to give any useful feedback. This is a safe space. So we're looking forward to see also the results and see later on your videos and your statements. So, as advocate for UHC, you know that our role is to help high-level decision makers bridge the gap between people's lived experience and the policy that affect them. Story makes the impact. We have stories, but data also facilitate the action. That's why it's crucial to connect your stories. When I say your stories, it can be your own personal stories, but it can be stories from people you know, your family, your friends, anyone, and connect this with data that policymakers are very familiar with. So let's jump into the content of this interactive session. What are we going to do today? Next slide, please. Thank you, Kathy. So we'll have a quick presentation of the main framework, the Making Your Case framework. This will be to support the format of your testimonial with several steps. Then we'll project a slide with 5 UHC key facts that you can use in your statements to support your stories. We'll have 10, maybe a bit less, maybe 5 minutes, considering the time, for you to write this statement. It can be also very short. It absolutely not need to be long. And then after that, once you're finished with it, you're invited to share it with us in the chat, or also to raise your hand if you want to read it out loud. That would be wonderful to inspire also other people to do. Great. So let's step into the making your case framework. So for the next slide, please. Great. So this is really a step-by-step guide, and I will actually share the link to it to my colleague who is sharing the screen for ease of sharing. Yep. Here it is. So it will be a step-by-step guide that you can access online. We'll put the link in the chat. You will have a Word version. So you can also directly download this Word version and work on this or work separately. Again, we'll take some time to go through it, but you'll have a slide with all summarized. And actually, Kathy, if you prefer, I think I have it open on my screen, so I can actually share it for now, if it works. Oh, good. Perfect. Thank you so much. So we'll have different steps in there. So how do you start? First, you can share a personal stories as the first step. So start with like something that really connects you to the issue, like a testimonial, a personal connection, or a live experience. I will give a personal example, for instance. So I live with endometriosis, which is quite a common disease for women, but that was really unknown a few years ago and not so long time ago. So I would say maybe to start on this, like as a young person living with endometriosis, I've seen firsthand how it was difficult to be diagnosed and to access the appropriate treatment, for instance. So just giving an example here, but feel free to connect it with your stories. Did you have any problem accessing healthcare at certain moments? Do you have any problem seeing a doctor? Did you have any problem with food, healthcare? Anything. Then, after this personal story, you can connect it to the broader issue or problem, meaning you will have to put a specific data to illustrate your purpose. So I think my data, for instance, which is not specifically UHC, but still very relevant, is like 10% of women are diagnosed with endometriosis. And for that, it is crucial that treatment should be accessible for this. We'll share a few data, but the real exercise here will be for you to connect your story with one of the data we are sharing. Then you can explain why this matter now, highlight the urgency. Without urgent action, more women will still undiagnosed and won't have access to the health services they need, for instance. And then you have 2 steps to conclude. Make your ask very, very clear. Are you asking everyone to have access to health services they need? Are you asking leaders to make essential health services affordable? What is your key call to action? And you can inspire from the UHC Day call to action to reflect that. And then, totally at the end for the last step, a conclusion to end with a unifying message. Now is the time for leadership that delivers on UHC and ensures everyone, everywhere is guaranteed the right to health for all. Great. I think we can now go back to the slides and project the UHC key facts just after. Thank you so much. So you can see on the right, you have a summary of what we went through. Start with a personal connection, highlight the broader issue, emphasize why it's matter, make a clear ask, and end with an hopeful note. And you have 5 key data on your left. So the aim is to include one of these data as your second sentence on the second step. So you see, it's have to be like quite short. You can have only 5 sentences, one per step, and share it with us via the statement. And again, remember, this will be very useful for you to make your videos, any statements, any letter, and you will be all ready to participate to UHC Day and maybe be a UHC Day champions. I'll stop here, and I will let everyone 5 minutes to draft the statements, and then you can share it directly in the chat. So we'll pause here. Feel free if you have any question in the chat, and we come back in 5 minutes. Great. I hope everyone is doing well writing the statements. When you're done, when you're 4 or 5 sentences, please put this directly in the chat. And That's yes. And feel free if you have any question to ask this also in the chat so we can help you for the statements. We know time is running fast, so I let maybe 2 more minutes, and then we'll have, you know, a few more minutes to share testimonial or even like raise your hand if you have any question. How did you feel about this exercise? Yes, I see also a question from Kazi. How can I connect with media in India? We have a website page with more information for media release, and there is a section on how to connect with media there. So we'll put the link in the chat.
I believe we can also see first results of this workshop coming to the chat.
Thank you, Malika, for sharing. This is very inspiring. I'm wondering, Malika, do you want to like jump in, raise your hand to read it out loud? Otherwise, I know also Musa have a statement to deliver, so we can also go in there. Great, Malika, I see your hands. Malika, is this? Yes, Malika Jemakoyo. Okay, I give you a lot to talk here. Malika, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. Hello, everyone.
Hello, Malika. Thank you so much for joining us and for putting these great statements. Do you want maybe to read it out loud to everyone? Would you feel comfortable with that?
Yes, sure. So thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share my story. So actually, it's the story of my grandfather who lived in Niger and was diabetic and dependent on insulin. Every day, that small vial represents, sorry, that small vial represented both hope and fear. Hope for another day of life and fear that it might run out. In our community, access to insulin was never guaranteed. Shortages were common and prices placed far beyond the reach of many families. Growing up with this reality made me understand how the availability and accessibility of essential medicines can define a person's fate. The inclusion of medicine on the list of essential medicines is more, than a policy decision. It's a statement that health is a universal right and that no one anywhere should have to fight for access to life itself. So yes, that's a personal story I wanted to share because a few years ago we had a coup in Niger, and since the coup, the border were closed, and most of the medicines for diabetes and other how do you say other diseases were not available and anymore. So that was a very stressful time for a lot of people in Niger. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Malika. This is such a great statement and so compelling, and we can feel that it's also a personal story. I'm very sorry you had to face this with your grandfather and in this situation with the coup also in Niger. But that's a perfect example, honestly. I think one point, maybe if you want to make it even more stronger, maybe having like a specific data. I feel that the first one, half of the world's population still lack access to essential health services, could fit also well, you know, after your sentences in hope another day of lie and fear that it might run out. I'm sure there might be also some specific UHC fact to our person living in conflict area, but I think that's the only, you know, addition we could make. Otherwise, you're all ready to record your video and write your statements. So thank you, Malika. Malika, so you're from Niger, right? Are you a
Yes.
student or a part of any organization?
So I live in Niger. I'm the coordinator of the Alliance Against Non-Communicable Diseases in Niger.
Great. Very nice to meet you here, Malika. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you so
everyone. Have a
much.
good day.
You too. Great. Now I see also Musa have his hands up. Musa, do you want to intervene and share your statement with us?
Absolutely, I would love to. Thank you so much. First of all, I'm really resonating with all the stories that are being and all the statements being written in the chat. I can really resonate with so many of these. So to introduce myself, hello everyone. I am Mohammed Musa. I'm part of IFMSA and I'm also a student intern in Cairo, Egypt, at one of the biggest tertiary hospitals in the capital. So working as a student medical intern, so many of the stories of my patients have stuck with me. Some of them are perhaps, you know, with the video we watched, I have seen firsthand us prescribing medicines and investigations to patients only for them to not show up again. I have seen them, you know, look demotivated, look depressed, and not show up again due to the high costs. I have also seen you know, I have also experienced this firsthand because although I'm a student medical intern, I also have hypertension. So I do deal with a non-communicable disease, and being able to live with both perspectives in one country from a healthcare perspective and the perspective of a patient has really opened my eyes to this. Regarding accessibility, I have also seen many pregnant women and many patients with terminal diseases have to travel over 6 hours every day just to get their dialysis or to get their treatment. So from my experience, illness is not just a biological problem, it's also financial, it's also social, and it's also logistical. There are many aspects that go into it. Um, and these situations are not just in my hospital. In our region in the EMR, we have around 40% of our current health expenditures are out of pocket. And when it comes to nationally in Egypt, it's even higher at 60% of our expenses. And in a country where non-communicable diseases are responsible for 85% of our mortality, with 20% of Egyptians having diabetes and over 40% having hypertension, it is very urgent. It's definitely an urgent matter to advocate for UHC, to make sure that preventable illnesses are actually prevented. It's definitely a critical moment in our healthcare service, which is why I ask all stakeholders, I ask everyone in this webinar to continue advocating for essential medicine access, to continue advocating for primary care, to try their best in advocating for increased financing for public hospitals. And lastly, I do believe that we can make a change, and let's advocate towards making healthcare a right that everyone can actually use. Thank you so much, Lauren, and everyone that listened.
Thank you. Thank you, Musa. That's also so inspiring. I find that the combination, because you have both live experience, but also your experience as medical doctor students and all you're seeing also in your country. So that's really a strong statement. And I saw also like you had the data, you have various example from accessing health services, depending on if you're a woman or like potential discrimination also. So It's super good. I think also, Musa, you already for the health course heard video to record. So I think there is no feedback. I have more. I'm maybe turning to my other colleague, Kana or BK, if they have anything more to say. But that's very, very inspiring, and we might have time for a third readout for another statement.
Thanks, Laura. We're seeing a lot of really powerful stories coming into the chat. And we're going through and we're trying to give people individual feedback. So please do keep putting those stories in the chat. It's really important that we see them. I think the feedback that I would just say is some of these stories are missing data. So remember that data is the bridge for action with decision makers. So make sure that you're connecting to one of those data points. And this is about collective action together. So also linking to the UHC Day messages, our calls to action will help you make sure that you are aligned with the global push that we are working on to drive action together for UHC. So those are my two feedback for what we're getting in the chat. But yeah, very powerful stories, and we really encourage you to go and put these into your advocacy templates and to film these as part of the Health Cost Hurts campaign. Let's really show decision makers what the lived experience of youth and communities is around the world, so they can't ignore what is happening on the ground.
Thank you so much, BK. Very powerful. So yes, don't forget to use the data. Use your live experience, but also your experience maybe like in other area, like a medical doctor or what you do. Also, that's very powerful. Example from your countries also, if you're living in specific areas, like we heard with Malika, in areas of conflict also. But also, like, even if you are living in a country who already has UHC, it's also an opportunity to maybe raise why it is so important and so vital, and call for other countries also to adopt and make progress towards UHC. We're a bit short of time, so I think we're gonna go strictly into what's next after this. But I want to really recognize all the great statement we had. I see Surad, I see Abir, I see Aida, I see Iman, we see Mustafa, we see Aman, we see Trishala, Idan, Paul, Ruth, and so many more, Lise. So thank you. This is all well noted, and we can have like another look. I think you can use this statement already for the next call to action. We're gonna deep dive right in. So what's next after this webinar? What can you do? So now that you have your statements, you are all ready to post your health course heard video. So this 1-minute video with your statements and your call to action. This is literally the text you've been written. So you're all good to, record yourself and post it on social media with the hashtag HealthCoreHurts, and then we will be able to amplify this. And it's also one of the first steps to participate in the Youth Challenge and maybe become a UHC Day champion. So very easy for you to do now. Then you have also the material to send your letter or deliver your statement or share any media release. So by using the template Bethany Kate, my colleague here, shared earlier. So same, you have already the content. So you can use this template and just put your content at the appropriate place. Easy. Then you also have already 2 steps out of the way for the Youth Challenge. So please participate to this. It's an app, super quick to do. The 2 most important steps, you already have the material for it. The rest is super quick to do. So we really encourage you to do that. We want youth voice to be also present for UHC Day and beyond. We'll have another event on the 12th of December, the Youth Parliamentarian Town Hall. So it will be a discussion between youth and parliamentarians to exchange on ask and call to action. So we hope to see you there to make youth voice appropriately heard. Then finally, if you need any more information, we have UHC Day updates sent out every week by email. You just have to register to the UHC Day Substack. We'll put the link in the chat for you and a summary with every link. I'll stop here and I will turn the mic back to my dear colleague Kana to close the session.
Thank you so much, Laura, for facilitating this interactive part, and also for sharing all the updates and relevant information for our participants to further engage in this campaign in this moment. And we genuinely hope to see you there in the upcoming activities that we have been planning. So with that, we actually came to the end of this session. We really hope that the discussions happening here inspired you. We also hope that they were productive. I would also like to thank to all the panelists, as well to our participants. It was really inspiring to hear your testimonies and your stories. We'll also disseminate a Google form so you can share your feedback so we can further improve for the upcoming initiatives. And also something for you to remember. By raising this awareness, by building coalitions, and also by advocating for participatory rights, you have opportunity to be both advocates and also co-creators of health solutions to drive more inclusive, people-centered systems that leave no one behind. And as we will be wrapping up this session, something that I would like you to reflect on is one question, and that's what you can do today to make these healthcare systems more inclusive so we don't leave anyone behind. As mentioned, there are a lot of upcoming activities. We hope you will engage. You can also engage in the campaign, writing statements, letters, and also be part of this global movement, because in the end, together we can achieve more. So to finish on a strong note, we'll close this workshop with examples of powerful health cost hurt videos. So we hope these testimonials will also inspire you to post your story. And thank you once again for joining us here today. Thank you so much for your energy, for your passion, for your dedication. And together we can build a stronger youth-led movements for universal health coverage. So see you in the upcoming activities and on Universal Healthcare Coverage Day. And I wish you the nice rest of the day.
I'm a person living with multiple morbidities. That includes NCDs, HIV, mental health conditions, and disabilities. In quest of seeking medical healthcare services, my family and I, we are being driven deep down into claws of poverty and perennial debt. No family should choose between food and medication. When health costs hurts, we speak out for universal health coverage, health for all, leaving no one behind.
I'm Nupur from India and I live with type 1 diabetes. For people living with diabetes and NCDs, health costs hurt. Families often have to choose between medicine and rent, or education, or food. Civil society and people with lived experience need to be at the center of this change. It is people like us who understand the barriers firsthand on the ground, living with it every single day. I have the opportunity to be in New York at the United Nations General Assembly, and I call on member states to strengthen health systems to ensure financial protection for people with non-communicable diseases and mental health conditions, and together, along with civil society, to work together towards universal health coverage. Let's leave no one behind.
In my own personal community, the CAH community, the reality of those costs are clear. Daily medications like hydrocortisone and fludrocortisone aren't optional, but rather a necessity. On top of that, families face regular lab work, endocrinology visits, emergency room bills during adrenal crisis, and travel expenses to reach specialists who actually understand the condition. These costs add up quickly, and even with insurance, families are often left with high out-of-pocket bills. Some families have to cut back hours at work to care for their child, while others have to spend thousands each year just to cover medications and monitoring that allows their kids to live safely. The number shows the size of the problem, but the lived experiences, they show the weight of it. Missed work, drained savings, hard choices between health and financial stability are some among numerous other problems. Rare disease patients shouldn't have to fight this battle alone. So by sharing our stories, we put a human face behind the statistics and remind leaders of what's at stake. Health is not a privilege reserved for those who can afford it. Health is a universal right.